Well, hello and welcome to all of our Gold viewers here today. I'm Fiona Lang Sharp, IBCLC Director of Communications and MC at Gold Learning. We have an absolutely fantastic year here at Gold Lactation 2020 this year, as we have so much content, but we've also got our interactive sessions, and that's what we're talking about today. We've got the absolutely delightful Melissa Cole with us here today, and we'll be talking to her in just a moment. But if you haven't gotten up to date and caught up with what's happening here at Gold, then this is your chance right now to go to the website and check it all out. If you're already registered for our conference, you can go to the delegates dashboard and click on the link titled Interactive Sessions. You'll see the 4 sessions there are just for you. And one of them, of course, is called Critical Thinking, which is going to be with Melissa Cole. But we've also got some other fabulous sessions there too with Annie Frisbee, Michelle Pensabranco, and of course with Christy Joe Hendricks as well. So you can go and check out all of those things. Now, we do have some live events coming up here still at Gold. And again, they're going to be with Melissa Cole and Michelle Pensabranco on May 6th. You can go to our conference website right now at goldlactation.com and register for the full conference as well. Well, welcome to you, Melissa. It's great to have you back at Gold. This is going to be a fabulous presentation. You and I have been talking about it quite a lot, but I want to do a little bit of a dive into what's been happening with you recently. And I know some things have likely changed for you wherever
Yes.
you are, but why don't you tell our folks who are listening in from all around the world where you're located and
Mhm.
what are you doing as part of your practice right now?
Yes, thank you. It's so good to be back with my gold family and to share this presentation with everyone. I'm in Portland, Oregon, in the Pacific Northwest. And like everyone, we're hunkering down. We're really trying to make the best of a challenging situation. I've been fortunate to continue with telehealth and seeing urgent patients in person when required. But it's been really nice to see people come together and to have different platforms to provide support on. So yeah.
Wonderful. Good.
Yes.
So doing a little bit of work, some telehealth, adapting
Yes.
like a lot of us, right? Just
Yes.
making things work, which is wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, so let's dive into this, talking about critical thinking, because I
Yes.
know so this is to me it's such an interesting topic, because it might be one, to be honest, can I be honest with you? It
Please do.
it might be one that I maybe put aside,
Mhm.
but I will tell you that once I dive into it, because I've done this with you before,
Yes.
once I dive into it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do like I am almost I it's like the slow burn to like the hunger. I become ferocious in this. And so is this no like am I normal? I don't know. Like is this sort of a normal
Well,
response you sort of see?
yeah. Well, normal is subjective, so that's okay. But I actually think it's timely. I think as people are doing their work differently, reevaluating how they do things that might have been common in their workplace, almost a transition to some people doing telehealth or other forms of
Mhm.
consulting is making us think differently, right? In the here and the
Right.
now. So I think it's very timely. And, lactation work is detective work. And
Mhm.
so, most of us don't tend to think of like, how do we think what we think? But when we start to evaluate our process and our thought process from a critical standpoint, it really gives us
Right.
some insight into how can we work better moving forward. What biases or prejudice might we have that are clouding the care we provide. And so I think thinking about how we think with our lactation hats on is a really vital skill set.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can remember in my early days where, where I've got it made, where I've got all the
Of
answers.
course.
There's perhaps a little bit of an ego.
Yep.
I mean, I'm talking about myself, okay?
Yep.
But,
All can be there.
there's an element of where, I have a conversation, maybe I do an intake with a client and I've got all the answers. I'm like, I'm going to walk in, it's going to be this, and this
Hmm.
sorted. Okay.
Yep.
So, but then I think there was a shift for me because I would get caught, right?
Hmm.
And in that process, I recognized, and tell me again if this sort of rings a bell with you or if you've heard this from other lactation consultants. I go, okay, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong in this
Yeah.
process? That
Yeah.
is like that's critical thinking, right?
That's critical thinking. Yes. And that's that is a sign of getting to a spot in your practice where you're able to, really get to the next level. I think, a lot of us start out like, okay, you've learned a little bit, I can do a lot.
Right.
Maybe then we get to a place where like, I know nothing. I need to learn so much more. And then we realize, hey, I don't know what I don't know. And we realize what we need to do to build our
Right.
skill set. But,
Yeah.
with that, a lot of us value continuing ed and we want a lot of
Yeah.
hands-on skills. But something that's free that we can always continue to develop is our thought processes, our
Mm.
brain power. And that's something that we can be working on. I think a lot of people get caught up in, I need to learn about this tool or this, hands-on
Right.
technique. And sometimes really our thought process could be cultivated when it comes to thinking outside the box for challenging cases. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
I'm almost thinking now that, sometimes we do get overwhelmed. There's no doubt about it. And I
Hmm.
think that overwhelmed feeling is the fact that we're so passionate and we feel so
Hmm.
responsible.
Right.
Lots of empathy, a lot of that hyper
Yeah.
responsible behavior. And maybe I mean, again, this is just me thinking it out, talking it out with you. Maybe there's a sense of, oh my gosh, I don't know that anymore and I'm
Hmm.
overwhelmed. But in actual fact, it might just be that I need someone to actually relay this
Yeah.
information back and forth and talk through
Hmm.
the actual process and suddenly go,
Yeah.
oh, right, that's what it was.
Exactly.
Those aha, you
Right.
have those aha moments, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and that
Yeah.
is why I think that, peer review and collaboration, it's
Mm,
so vital that we do kind of get outside our own bubble and really have that conversation, have that debriefing peer review for all sorts of cases, not just the ones that are super challenging, but just to
right.
get feedback. And I think that it's about examining our outcomes. What do they say? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different outcomes.
Right.
So if
Yeah,
we
yeah.
feel like we're just spinning and spinning and we're just not seeing the outcomes we want, that's where we need to step back and say, hey, what could I be doing differently?
Right. And
So that we do
yeah, so
see good,
I
change.
almost feel like this should be the first stop in
Hmm.
anyone's practice to improve things, to
Right.
evaluate what you might need to know more of. Because
Right.
I'm always talking about, education, obviously at Gold.
Yes.
I'm always
Of course.
talking about, oh, there's more you can learn, there's more you learn,
Hmm.
which there is.
Yes.
But how do I choose that? How do I
Right.
choose what I don't know? Because what
Right.
you don't know is what you don't know, right? So
Exactly.
maybe, again, maybe this process of critical thinking will actually help me detect personally what I need to know next.
Absolutely. And so that's what we'll be exploring is, how do
Mm,
we use assessment and, skillful conceptualizing to really get to that root hypothesis of what we think is going on, how to
hmm.
set aside, our maybe personal biases or prejudice to really see things for what they are, and
Sure.
and then implement plans that meet the family's goals, right?
Yeah.
Without our expectations clouding things. And so I think that thinking about how we think through cases is a really good practice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so talk to me about a couple of ends of the spectrum that we talked offline a little bit. I'll just mention solo practice, in
Yeah,
private practice by
right.
myself. Clearly I'm going to benefit from talking it out with someone else, but I'm by
Right.
myself. What am I going to do? Is
Yeah.
there any tips that you can tell me right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. Well, I do think that many people who are in private practice find they feel isolated, they feel like they can't talk to people. I do know that social media sort of changed that, right? A
Right.
lot of times you'll get onto, private practice forums or other forums and people have that dialogue, they get feedback. And so I do think there's a wonderful benefit there with social media and that we can, reach our colleagues anywhere in the world, get a
Sure.
multidisciplinary perspective,
Hmm.
share evidence. And I think that that's one of the best things for using social media is, having that
Yeah.
dialogue. People that are in, settings where maybe they have built-in peer review or case review,
Yes. Let's talk
I
about
think
that.
they have, maybe more of a systematic approach where this is how they
Hmm.
do it. And like you and I mentioned, sometimes what happens with those peer review sessions is that it's the most traumatic or, challenging
Right.
case, and not always the ones where like, well, this had a really good outcome. Let's see how we got that positive outcome, what we did right, versus not always, what we could do better. So I think there's a place for both evaluating
Yeah.
a challenging case, but also when we have good outcomes saying, all right, now what are we doing that is working? So
Yeah.
Both
Okay,
ends of the
good.
spectrum.
All right. So what I'm hearing for you essentially, this is for everybody. Anyone,
Yes.
even if you're doing peer review right
Mm,
now, there's going to be an element of, taking it to the next level. And if you're by
mhm.
yourself, perhaps in practice, you're going to learn great ways to
Right.
connect. And it's not just you, like this is an interactive session. So
Yes.
we're relying on the delegates coming and
Yes.
collaboratively working and
Yes.
sharing information on how they see things, right? That's what this is all about.
Correct. Yeah. And it is so fresh and exciting. We don't get a ton of interactive sessions, online. And so I think this is
Yeah.
a really great way. People now are, hungry for dialogue. We talked about that.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's a safe place where there are no
Right.
right or wrong answers. Everyone
Yeah.
is brainstorming, they're thinking about how they're thinking. And so it's going to be a safe way for us to, examine and explore our different thought processes around cases.
Excellent. So now this just got really juicy for me again. So now my
Oh,
that ferocious
whew.
sense of like, all right, bring it on. Let's go. I want to do it right now.
You have to wait till May 6th, Fiona.
Okay, okay.
Uh,
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so
Good.
much, Melissa. You're
Oh,
always a
thank
delight
you.
to talk with and brainstorm. I honestly can't wait for this
Thank you.
presentation. I know
Me
we've been
either.
reviewing it in the background, but it really is all about the delegates and what they bring to the table.
Right.
The interactive session where you can fill out, there's a pre-workshop
Yes.
questionnaire. You can
Yeah.
still fill out that online,
Right.
but you don't have to. So if you haven't had time to do that and you're just
Yeah.
juggling life and work and those types of things, please
Yes.
come. It's going to be a great way for us to all learn together on May 6th.
May
And you can
6th.
check out the time zone and the details all online at goldlactation.com. Thanks, Melissa. It's
Great.
great having you
Thank you
here.
for having me, Fiona.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Well, thanks
It
for joining us, everyone. If you do have any comments or questions, please leave them in the link below and we'll get to them and answer for them before this presentation as well. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Bye bye for now.